Okay guys, here we are in a new episode of What to Play Over the Weekend Ranked, the series where we analyze the Gods Unchained meta. So you liked a lot the budget series where I just analyze the budget decks, and today we will do the same, so all the best budget deck in Gods Unchained. So let's start with the first thing, that was the nerf to Path of Light, that they increased the mana to 3 mana, because at 1 mana was just too broken, summoning a 5/5, so that is the first thing. And now instead let's go check the meta. So we had no patch other than Path of Light, so still that is the best god, as you can see, 52% win rate. Then all the other gods are pretty average, like 50%, and then we have Light, that is the worst one because was carried by Path of Light but now is nerfed, so I wouldn't suggest you to play Light. But actually I made this video with all the best budget decks, so we will have even a Light deck. Let's go check instead the archetype. As you can see, there is Guild Deception that is really in a solid spot, and we have the best budget Guild Deception that is super good. I made a video about it and it's still really good. There is Refreshinator and Bomb Dragon, so this is the top 3. Even Relic War and Mayday are still really good, and even Atlantean. So those are just the best deck, but now let's go check the best deck for each different god with a solid price. So this is, in my opinion, the first deck, the best budget deck that you can play right now, because it's 25 bucks and you have 70% win rate. That is literally huge. Out of 100 games, that are really a lot. So this deck is really good and is really cheapy. Although guys, remember that Death is really good and has a really good win rate, so still can be nerfed, and there will be new patches, so who knows. If you want to invest into this though, it is a super good deck. It costs just 20 bucks. You can make it back probably in 1 week, 2 weeks. And how do you play this deck? It's a Bomb Dragon deck. So the principal card is Blackfire Fledgling that makes 3 damage to a creature and even to your opponent god. So when it dies, it makes 3 damage, and then you want to apply this Afterlife a lot of times, like with Soul Breather, so it proc 2 times, or like with Voidwatch Serpent, it proc Afterlife another time. So essentially, the point of this deck is just kill this creature, make a lot of damage to your opponent face with even Bombfly, Brimstone, Dangerous Ritual, so just push for the face. There is even Broad Parasite that has a really good Afterlife, that is summon a 4/4, so this is another Afterlife you can proc. And overall, every card in this deck is really solid. And this is why like all the new cards from Dread Awakening are super good from that. This one, Sense of Rebirth for proc Afterlife, like this is a super really good deck that I really suggest you to play. And even if you are just starting into the game, invest 20 bucks into this. It will make a lot faster your money back. Now instead, let's go check Deception, that in my opinion is the other deck with the best budget deck other than Death. This deck is just amazing, but it can be nerfed. I think Deception is not even risking a nerf, and this deck is just amazing. This deck, I can't talk about a lot this deck because I have literally a full video about this budget Deception, but it's just go wide, go a lot zoo, go a lot aggro, place a lot of creature, all little creature but all pretty solid, and then you play Fragmentary that will draw a card for each guild. So essentially this card will be a 4 mana 3/4 that when you play probably will draw like 3-4 cards without any problem. It's really good. Versus Control, you want Cutthroat mostly, because you can send away their demo or their board clear, and even like some buff like Selfless Guildmate and Dark Knives that essentially help you to give that burst. But even versus aggro is really solid because you have like cards like Armor Lurker, Crooked Quartermaster, Amber Arrow, Blade of Borrow, where all those cards are really good versus other aggro. This deck is really amazing, really versatile, really fast, really cheapy, less than 10 bucks, and has a really good win rate because more than 1,000 games, 57% win rate. This deck, you can literally make your money back in less than a week. I literally made a video about that. I just took this deck, played a week in Mythic, make my money back in a week, and then after that, all gain. So yeah, I really suggest to every people that ask me in my Discord which deck to start with, I always say this one. Literally one guy today asked me and I said a sort of this deck. Actually this deck is better as I said, but it costs a bit more. It's not that the problem, the main problem is that it can still be nerfed. This card you literally can't nerf almost anything because it's not from the new set. So then there is this one that is another Deception budget with a really solid win rate, 70%, but less games, so less stable than this one. But I put this one even because it's a control, so if you enjoy more playing control, you can play this. It's pretty solid, as you can see it has Emberoni. To be honest, I would put another Candy Chain because if you are playing like control, you need a win condition, and this deck, win condition is probably Candy Chain, but yeah, you would love to run Chu if this is your win condition, because yeah, it has nothing else big. So I expect this deck to be really good versus aggro because you got like Ember Oni, Amber Arrow and so on. But versus control, I think you have no value. So that's why I would probably add another Candy Chain, because with 2 Candy Chain you literally remove 10 cards of your opponent, and that's enough for win even versus control. Now instead, let's go on Nature. So this will be the most pricey deck of today. So yeah, this is really a budget video. 70 bucks. To be honest, you can even make Nature with less money. Like, it's not needed probably that which he does. I mean, it's really good, but if you want to remove it, it's still a food chain and is 50 bucks. So without this, it's literally 20 bucks. The win rate is really solid. As you can see, 70% win rate in 30 games. Nature was nerfed as I predicted. Was not hard to predict because it was amazing, but it's still really good. To be honest, it's still really good. All the new cards, Regression, Path of Nature, Howler, Crawling Madness, Red Deer, like all those cards really helped a lot Food Chain to become a lot better. And it's still really good, as you can see. Like, this is a mythic 70% win rate with 70 bucks and 20 bucks if you remove that which he does. But how do you want to play this deck? So you want just to make the combo with Refresh Mana with Pextalk and then Food Chain on your Bladefly. So you get essentially a lot of 6 mana creature or 8 mana creatures all together and just go face. Now instead, let's go on Magic. Magic has a 30 bucks deck. Actually, it's pretty hard to find some budget version of Magic, and this one is actually really solid, guys. Like 60% win rate in 70 games, or actually in 86 games on overall, so really good win rate. 30 bucks only. And as you can see, is like mostly all the cards. I see the only new cards is just Eldritch Blast, that is really good because it's a 2 damage and you get even another card most of the time, so it's really good. But overall, this is just a standard CDM, so you want to burn the face of your opponent, play a lot of creature even there, like little creature like Flying Carpet, Shadow Scryer, Conjurer and so on, and then just push a lot of damage with all your burn, so Wyrmbreath, Unbounce, Layrod, so a lot of face burn. To be honest, another correction I would make in this deck is probably like remove some Goblin or some other card and put another Firric. I know it costs a bit, it costs like 6 bucks, 10 bucks probably. Oh, only 3, holy shit, that's so bad. So for sure add another one because this card is just amazing. You will win so many games thanks to this card with Card or Magic, so for sure add another of these and probably remove Vortimer, that is actually same price. It was at least. So it stays around 30 bucks, but I think it will even increase the win rate. Still, this deck is really solid and is even really fun, to be honest. Card or Magic is one of my favorite deck. So now instead, let's go on War. War has 2 versions, really budget, really good, that are Aggro War and Relic War. But since I bring the Relic War in the other budget version deck, today we have Aggro War. As you can see, 6% win rate in overall in more than 100 games and 73 in 40 games. So it's pretty huge for just 20 bucks. Even this, so actually the way you play all those decks mostly is all the same. All of these decks always go aggro, go a lot of creature, but this is just because the budget decks tend to be aggro, so tend to just play a lot of creature and go face, because if you go on control on Jew, it starts to cost a lot more the decks. Mid-range Deception, this can be the only probably control deck budget, but yeah, all the other has to be aggro because this is the way you can pay less and still win a lot. So as you can see, it's just an aggro with a lot of good creature like Oddie, Cunning Challenger, White Forget. I would probably play 2 of those, of both. What I can see is 2 cards of the new set, and both really helped Aggro War, that are Rally the Band and Chieftain Fury. So Rally the Band is just amazing. For 1 mana, you will delve, actually even better, a creature of the same tribe. So essentially, if you have like 3 creature of 3 different tribes, for 1 mana you will delve 3 creature. That is literally huge for 1 mana, and that is the draw that Aggro War needed, so it's really good. And then we have even a board buff that is Chieftain Fury for 4 mana, give all friendly creatures +2 and +1. If you have 2 or less cards, you even give them Overkill. So most of the time with Aggro War you will have less than 2 cards, so you will even give Overkill. So this is a really good finisher for end the game. As you can see, Ragnar with this deck has 73% win rate in 40 games for 20 bucks, really huge. And I think this is like most of the time is finisher, because if you have 2-3 creatures, this is a really solid buff that can end the game. And now instead, let's go in the last deck, that is Zoo Light. As I said, I don't suggest you to play light this weekend ranked, but if you have this deck, it's just 20 bucks, it's just 10 bucks actually, and it has a 55% win rate in 100 games, so really good. To be honest, I think of those budget deck of today is probably still the worst one, but it's still a really solid deck. I have even a video about this budget light, so the only thing different about all those budget is that this one is not just go wide, I mean it's still go wide, but the most important thing in this deck is to stick your buff. So Protective Benediction, Chaining, Radiant Dawn, this is the way you win. Asterios most importantly. So this is the way you win. So this is needed to do wide and the buff, while instead like Aggro Ward doesn't really need the buff for win, or even like Guild Deception. So those are all similar, but everything is a bit different on how to win, but still. All those decks are really solid for the bucks, and you just go wide is not hard. You just go wide, go face, and let's hope you will make a really good score in this weekend ranked with your budget decks.